Pride is a double-edged sword. While it's good to have confidence in one's own ability, too much of it will inevitably hold you back. Pride is a trait that gives us strength, but can also stop us from exploring opportunities we aren't able to reach ourselves, making it a weakness as well. Pride is something we have to overcome, but accept at the same time. Whether we like it or not, it's something we all have in some way, shape, or form. Pride is what defines Iwase Aiko. Iwase doesn't take losing very lightly. After noticing that Takagi had overtaken her in the school rankings, she confronts him, but not with any animosity towards him. She instead wishes for them to encourage each other. From that day onward, she viewed Takagi as a rival, but also someone she had feelings for. She admired how talented he was when it came to academics, and the amount of potential he would have as competition. So imagine the disappointment she felt when he chose to pursue manga. To Iwase, Takagi was throwing away his immense talent and wasting it on something trivial and childish, a decision she tells him that he'll regret for the rest of his life. He smiles and tells her that she can laugh at him if he does fail, to which she responds, In her eyes, Takagi had stopped moving forward, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Iwase was ignorant to the idea of passion and pursuing something you love, as opposed to following a set path. Before he met Mashiro, Takagi felt that every day felt the same, but now, he embraces life because he's finally able to do something he's been passionate about for years. That's why he chose to go to a lower-ranked school after graduation. When Iwase leaves, she continues to question why manga was so important to him, and this is shown through her interaction with Aoki. When she asks Aoki why she chose to write manga, she gives a similar answer as Takagi. Aoki then sets up a meeting for these two, as Iwase wants to show Takagi what she's become. When they arrive, Iwase hands him her first published book, and tells him that he should be capable of writing novels as well, seeing as she kept up with most of his works, and feels that he's still wasting his potential on manga. Despite this, Takagi still chooses to write manga. He believes that novels and manga shouldn't be compared, because both were created by hardworking people. While novels have their own audience, manga is also capable of reaching millions of people, and thus entertain those millions. This reason alone gives manga meaning. Iwase was then met with the same dilemma as 5 years prior, but instead of walking away, she decides to write manga as well. While she still acknowledges Takagi's talent, what was once admiration became an inferiority complex. She wants to stand shoulder to shoulder with him, yet she's under the impression that no matter what she does, Takagi would just brush it off as nothing special. Not to mention, her romantic feelings towards him still exist and play a significant part in feeding her inferiority complex. Takagi tells Iwase that he would acknowledge her if she's able to be serialized, but only for her skill. He's still going through with his marriage with Miyoshi. Iwase resolves to surpass him, and until that happens, she will not accept their marriage. She tries to provoke him, saying that if he does worse and still gets married, then she'll still be able to keep her pride. When this does eventually happen with her debut manga, plus Natural, Takagi is forced to feed her ego.
どういう意味よ。だからやめろって。ナチュラルの方が人気取ったんだ。岩瀬の方が才能ある。間違いない。それでいいな、岩瀬。はい。
Despite how prideful she is, there is a moment in season 3 where you have to question her sense of pride. When going through the list of candidates to play the heroine for her anime, she comes across Azuki Miho, who was Mashiro's girlfriend.
Azuki Miho, Mashiro Moritaka, Takagi Akito, Ashirogi Muto.
She's then determined to have her play the heroine, to use her in attempts to crush her rival's dreams, showing how low she's willing to go just to prove a point. After all, it was manga that took away the Takagi that had talent. However, this all changes when she learns about the condition revolving around PCP. If PCP is unable to go head-to-head with Crow or Natural by their 25th chapter, then the series will get cancelled. This moment showed us a side of Iwase that we didn't know she had: compassion. Albeit not in the traditional sense, but compassion nonetheless. It's true that she wanted to beat Takagi, but she didn't want to win because their manga got cancelled. In a similar fashion, She realizes that exploiting any little advantage she could get her hands on wouldn't feel right either, and she admits to this when she calls Takagi. From now on, she will compete with him fair and square. Deep down, she enjoys competing with Takagi, and him losing like this is proof of his lack of talent. Takagi takes this to heart and thanks her by giving her the acknowledgement she wanted for years.
互いを励みにして頑張ろう。絶対負けねえからな。
私も絶対負けない。
It'd been a few years since Natural was published, and Iwase gets news that the latest chapter has dropped to 15th place. If it wasn't for Nizuma doing the art, the manga would have been cancelled long ago. With her editor being passive to suggestions, and Nizuma no longer finding enjoyment from the story, she begins to lose confidence in her work, as there's a much bigger gap between her and Takagi. This is further exemplified when she overhears a group talking about how boring Natural has gotten. Out of desperation, she tries to call Takagi, but stops due to her pride. Calling Takagi would make everything she told him earlier all for naught. How humiliating would it be to have to ask your rival for help? Someone who finally acknowledged her as his equal, only to tell him that you aren't able to live up to the standard. Takagi, Nizuma, her editor, none of them needed her anymore. When Takagi hears that Iwase has stopped writing, Mashiro decides to talk to her. He tells her that if she wants to quit, then she should quit. However, he lets her know that Takagi still views her as his greatest rival. Once she opens the door, fellow manga artists, friends who have always been there to help her, welcome her with open arms. For the first time, we see her break out of her bubble, but still stays true to herself. But maybe something has changed in her. Perhaps now, she knows the answer to the question she had from the very beginning. Why manga?